with my husband, and I'm going to tell you that I absolutely I'm not agreeing. Okay. So I don't schedule anything. And I told Brian, and he's just like so used to it by now. So he's just in there having like a couple cocktails by himself. I'm like, you better be drunk by the time I get back. No, but I actually wanted to use this as an example because, Erin Tweed is my enroller, and she has an incredible work ethic. And it's something that like I've really always taken from her is just really understanding, like, most people would have just rescheduled this. Most people would have just made an excuse and not gotten on this had they been in the same situation. And I'm not sitting here to brag, but I'm just sitting here and asking you to ask yourself, like, are you willing to do what nobody else is willing to do so you can have what most people can't have? Because I know at the end of the day, this business is what allows us to go on date night. This business allows us to do the things that we're able to do, to pay for a babysitter, to do to order the drinks at the bar that cost like ridiculous amounts of money, and you're like, I could get drunk at home for the same amount for one drink. Like it's the Nicole getting on here when she feels like crap, and it's the last thing she probably wants to do. But it's just like working out, you guys. Are you willing to go to the gym when you don't feel like it? Like, because do you think that people who have six packs like are willing to do that? Like, they don't just get that just from eating a bunch of crap and just doing it when they feel like it. And I think that that's such like a common misconception is people look at my life and they're like, and any ambassador, any person who is making, what might seem like a lot of money to anybody else, like they think it's because of who we are, but it's not. We didn't get any special talents that you guys don't have. What it is it's just a decision that we've made to use the talents, because there's nothing inside of me that's not inside of each of you guys. There's nothing inside of Nicole that's not inside of you guys. It's just we're willing to do more with it. Just the same way Oprah has the same 24 hours in the day, you have the same gifts and talents and everything inside of you. Do you think that God dangled this carrot in front of you of like, you see all these successful people and I just want you to suffer and not be successful? Do you think that's the kind of God that we serve? No. He's the kind of God who's showing you this to show you an example of what can be done and what you can do. So stop being in a pity party for yourself of listing all the reasons why you can't do this. I was telling one of my girls today who was like, it's just been really busy. It's been really hard because my kid's teething and work is really stressful and all of that. And I just said to her, I said, listen, I understand. And you know what? In the same token, I had my daughter. My kids are 18 months apart. So when my daughter was 9 months old, I got pregnant with my son. Okay. That was an accident. It's just sex with consequences. It happens, people. Okay. Birth control is real. You should use it. And so that's just that happened. And I was in the business and I had gone diamond. And I remember just being so exhausted and feeling like, my God, I'm working full time. I'm pregnant. I have my daughter. I have a team. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm leading. Like I felt all the things. Okay. All the things. And I just remember telling Brian and he's a coach, like he was a basketball coach. And he just said like, are you gonna keep complaining? And I was like, excuse me? I was salty when he said that. He was like, are you just going to keep complaining? And I was like, I mean, but these are real complaints. And he said, nobody said they weren't valid, but what are you going to do about it? And I was like, yeah, that's true. And Tony Robbins said something, and I went to Tony Robbins, and I'll tell you the biggest thing I got out of Tony Robbins is he said, your rights don't get you what you want. And what he meant by that is, do you have the right to feel frustrated with your business sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Do you have the right to feel like you don't want to do stuff? Do you have the right to feel like you should have made more money? Do you have the right to feel like you should be tired? Do you have the right to feel like, you're frustrated with X, Y, or Z? Yeah. But is that getting you what you want? Nope. And Rachel Wiggum also said something that stuck with me along these same lines. And she's like, my feelings no longer get a vote. My feelings no longer get a vote. And I was like, mine either. Like, my feelings are done. And so I think that like you have to operate in the fact of like how many times, and I've literally, and I'm not even telling my story. I'm sorry, Nicole. I'm just like going off on this tangent, but it's literally one of those things that like, think of it like this. I don't want you to think of like the things in your business as something you have to like negotiate with yourself. Okay. Like, because I was at that point, and I think a lot of people who are like kind of in-betweeners is what I call them. Like, they're half in, half out. They don't really know how to go all in. They know how to do it, but they mentally don't know how to do it. And I think a big part of the reason is obviously fear, but like, it's because you're giving yourself the option. Like, do you give yourself the option to brush your teeth or to shower? No, bro, you're disgusting if you don't do that. So you do it. Okay. It's the same thing. I literally view the things that I have to do as like with this business, the same way I view brushing my teeth. That's it. Like, that's it. Like, you know, like, and you guys can drop a 1 in the comments if you feel me on this. I'm about to give you an example, and you guys are gonna be like, yep, been there. You're laying in bed, you're binge watching on Netflix, and you're like, dang, I know I'm about to fall asleep during this next episode. I really should get up and brush my teeth. And like, the last thing you want to do is get out of your comfy, warm bed to go brush your teeth with some cold water and step on the cold bathroom floor and do all of that. But you do it. But you do it because it's nasty to not do it. This is the same thing with a business. Like, here's the thing. The way I think I would literally rather be physically dirty than broke. And you have to get to that point. You have to get to the point where you would rather have, I would rather have dirty teeth than to be broke. And so I'm willing to do those things the same way I'm willing to brush my teeth. And guess what? It's as simple as brushing your teeth. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. You put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and you brush your teeth. You post, you message, you follow up, you add to your network, and you're done. That's it. And I think we try to overcomplicate the business. And we try to. And I get it, because I did it too. And I'm telling you guys all this from experience. I'm not telling it to you guys just so I can be like, oh, like I'm sitting here preaching you on my high horse. No, bro. Listen, I've been in the season where I've complicated my business too much, where I made it harder than it needed to be, because it's the same simple steps. So let me backtrack and actually tell my story. So that would probably be good. So I started, my daughter, like I said, she was 4 months old when I joined, and I literally got to the point, you guys, just so you know, it was never in the cards for me to really want to be a stay-at-home mom. I think that's where my story is a little bit different than people. A lot of people are like, I wanted to be home with my baby. Like, I love my baby, but like I wanted to contribute. That's what I knew. Like, I wanted to contribute in more than just being a mom. And that's not to say being a stay-at-home mom is way harder than this business, just so you know. So but I really felt like I like working. Like, I didn't not like working and going to a job and doing something productive. But what I absolutely hated was feeling like I wasn't getting paid my worth. And I remember going in, I was working as a mortgage officer. I got my annual review back, and I'm sure all of you guys have had those moments. And right now I want you to think about the moment that it was like, that's it. That's the moment where you were just like, enough is enough. Because we've all had those moments. It's just how long have you made that moment last? Right? So because we've all had those moments. So for me, one of those big moments was when I went in for my annual review. I got like all these like A+ on my annual review. And I went to HR and I just said, hey, you know, after looking at our annual review and after all like value you guys said that I brought, like, I really feel like my family could use this $5,000 raise. Obviously you guys see my value at the bank. And they told me, like, it's just not in the budget. And I remember thinking to myself, that's the last time I'm going to let anybody else tell me what my worth is, because that is not just my worth. That's my family's worth. That's what we can do. That's the memories we can make. Those are the things that I have to say yes or no to based on what that bank's budget is. Like, I want to do things based on my budget and based on my work ethic. And so that's kind of when everything's flipped for me, because we've bought into for so long, and myself included, my family had very regular jobs. My dad was actually a stockbroker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I just remember like being like so bought into and sold out on, go to school, we get a degree, we get a job, and that's it. Because my entire family is like that. Like, my entire family has regular corporate jobs. Nobody is an entrepreneur. And so I didn't really even understand what the word entrepreneur meant, if I'm being 100% honest. Like, I was just so naive to that world, because I just figured you put in your time, you move up the ranks, and you live your life, right? But there was another moment that coincided with that raise moment, the denial of the raise. Was me and my husband were driving through this really nice part of Indianapolis, and I just remember being like, who lives in these houses? Who the hell lives in these houses? And you can drop a 2 in the comments if you've ever thought that when you've driven like past a nice neighborhood and you're like, bro, like, I know we have like a couple headquarters in this city, but like, that is not enough for this whole neighborhood of $600,000 houses to $1 million houses. Like, that's just not it. Like, and like, I'm the type of person, you know, like, I really would have gone door by door and been like, excuse me, what do you do? How do you make all your money? And my husband was like, kind of, we were just having this conversation, and half jokingly, he just said, like, I just feel like everybody has a side hustle. And I was like, bro, you're genius. And I remember thinking about Erin, because I'd seen her post, and then I just kind of chickened out or something. Like, I never got around to messaging her. But the next day I saw an article, and it said the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. And I remember thinking, like, shit, if I want to be half a millionaire, I got to at least have 3.5 sources of income. Okay. It's like, I'm over here working with 1. And if you want to count my husband's, like 2, but I'm trying to be independently wealthy. You feel me? So, I literally just remember being like, okay, oh gosh, hold on. My lights in my car just went out. It's fine. Hopefully it wasn't my batteries. My batteries. Okay, there we go. I'm back in action. So
imagine your car just died.
I got my car seats. Like, my car seats are in the back.
Oh gosh, I'm glad it turned on. Okay.
Okay. So I messaged Kyle Tweed like probably 20 minutes after I saw that article, because that's Erin's husband, and I didn't really know him that well, but I knew him enough from college to be like really rude and say, hey, how much money is your wife making a month? And I was just like, I don't know why I thought I could ask that question. I clearly didn't have social skills, but I think I've improved since then. So he was like, she makes about $8,000 to $10,000 a month, and I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like, that's a lie. And my husband was like, but babe, even if she makes half that, you could at least make $500. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, I can make $500. And at that point, like, $500 is a lot of money to us. And that meant that I could get my hair done, my nails done, all the extra things that, you know, life happens. And so actually life happens like all the time. Like, it's consistently happening. Like, and it can be something really big, or it can be something really small. But it can be something small, like, dang, I didn't budget in the $100 2 birthday parties that I had to go to this month. Or I didn't budget in the fact that, like, we missed out on groceries one night, so that's an extra $30 when we go out to dinner. Like, those little things start to add up. And so I just remember feeling like, yeah, $500. And I talked to Erin, you guys, and the one question that I asked her, that I encourage you guys to ask your upline if you haven't yet, is what do you think makes you so successful when a lot of people do a business like this and they don't have the same success? It's a good question, right? You should ask yourself, if you are successful, you should ask yourself, what do you think makes you successful? And her answer wasn't something like, oh, well, I just had a big following, or my work ethic. She literally just said, honestly, I just incorporate this into my life, and I just share the products and I share the business. And for me, when she simplified it like that, like, I was like, oh, I can do it. Now, I want to pause for a second, and I want to point out something. I don't even know what time it is, but we're probably 10, 15 minutes in, and I haven't even got to my success in the business yet. And I want to point this out for this reason. When people tell me they don't have a story because they haven't had success yet, it's complete BS. Because this whole time, all I've been doing for you is painting a picture of what my life was like before. Because I know that that's what's going to connect me and you. Because you're not really going to connect to me telling you that I've made a $45,000 paycheck. You're not going to connect to me telling you, like, oh, I've made $212,000 in bonuses. That's not, you're going to be like, yeah, that's cool, but like, I don't relate to that. right? So when you're talking to potentials, this is a hint that they don't join to make you money. They join to make themselves money. So they don't really care how much money you've made. They just want to know that you can actually make some money, like it's a real thing, and that you're passionate about it and that you can help them be successful. But they want to, like, you need to connect with them over their struggles, over what you went through, over your story of why you joined this business. Paint the picture of what your life was like beforehand. And part of the reason it's hard for people who just join is because they're still in it. But you have to be able to separate yourself enough to say, this is my temporary situation, and I know what this business is going to do for me. I know what this business is going to do for me, and this is what it's going to do. And until you can separate it, you'll never be successful because you're still living in that. If you're still living in broke, you can't become unbroke until you separate and say, I used to be broke. I used to think like this. I used to have a scarcity mindset. Even if that was 5 minutes ago, separate yourself from it. That was what used to be. And so for me, people, like you guys, I was literally the last thing from a morning person until literally I woke up, I think in October, and I just told myself, I used to not be a morning person, and now I am. I started waking up at 5, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, but like, I'm going to tell you that like, I wake up at 5 still because I'm a morning person, because I just decided that that's what I want to be, because I've read too many books to say that I'm going to be the exception, that I'm not going to be a morning person. Like, but every other person who's successful is a morning person. And I'm going to sit here and think that I'm good enough to be the exception. How entitled is that of me? How entitled is that? Okay. So that is something that like, I encourage you guys, if you're like, I'm just not organized, decide you're going to be organized and do what organized people do. Like, that's all. Like, for me, it was just like waking up and like, I started telling myself like, gosh, I love these peaceful mornings. And now, honestly, I look forward to kind of having that time. Like today when I woke up at 5, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, holy crap. Like, it feels like it's 7 p.m., but I've gotten so much done. Now, does that mean that there's times I don't oversleep? No, you guys, I overslept, I think 2 days ago. Like, I overslept my alarm and messed up. But at the end of the day, like, it's called grace for a reason. And if we could do every single thing on our own without mistakes, I would be the Virgin Mary. Like, I would just, so stop expecting that because you believe in Jesus, you have to be Jesus. Jesus expects you to make mistakes. He doesn't expect you to be perfect. Your team doesn't expect you to be perfect. Nicole doesn't expect you to be perfect. Like, nobody expects you to be perfect, but what we do expect you to be is honest with yourself. Because if you're honest with yourself, then what happens is that then you can actually change it. Then, and people ask me all the time, what do you think is the number one common denominator between people who are successful? And my biggest answer is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Because you can't change something you don't realize is there. You can't fix a problem you don't know that you have. Okay? And so you can read all the books, but if you say, oh, that doesn't apply to me, it doesn't apply, then you're not going to apply it. Because I can sit here and ask you guys, oh, when's the last time you read a book? Okay, great. Now, that's fine, but that's irrelevant because the next question is more important. When's the last time you applied a chapter of a book? When's the last time you applied one chapter of a book? And I think that I had to answer that for myself, and that was a hard freaking question. I was like, I don't know, but I have a lot of good information up in here. But I wasn't doing anything with it. Okay, so back to my story. So I joined the business, didn't know a shit about shit. Like, I literally did not know anything, you guys, when I joined. And I just felt like, you know what? I'm just going to go kind of all in. I'm kind of that type of person anyways. Like, it's either all or nothing for me. And I think that I was so dead set on proving to myself that I could do it. Then I went diamond. And then I got really prideful. And I thought that like I was really awesome. And I was kind of bulldozing people on my team. I didn't know anything about the colored personalities. Like, I didn't know. One of the biggest lessons I learned when I was diamond, you guys, is that the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, is BS. Don't listen to it. Okay, because I'm gonna tell you, I like to be coached like how Eric Thomas would coach me when you yell and scream at my face and you tell me that like I suck, get my life together. I'm gonna be like, okay, cool, I got you. But like if I do that to a yellow, like they're gonna sit and cry and quit. Okay, so like you have to realize who you're talking to when you're leading people and when you're coaching people, and realize, this is another thing I wrote down because it just like popped in my heart as I was thinking about hopping on here, is you have to realize that like the frustration you feel from not everybody wanting this on your team as bad as you do is actually what Jesus is trying to get you to understand how special you are. Because if everybody had the same drive, the same determination, what would make you special? What would make you the 1% of people who go diamond? But how are you going to know that? Well, you know that because if you go diamond, it takes a level of dedication, it takes a level of grit, it takes a level of resilience. And so when you see that not everybody has the same drive and determination as you do, that should be even more of an indication to push forward, because you are fit for this business. You are fit for this business if you recognize very early in your business when people quit and they get their panties in a wad about somebody saying no or what somebody else says to them or whatever, and you don't understand it, that is your sign that you are in the right place. Because not everybody is fit for this business. Anybody can do it. It can be for anybody, but it's not for everybody. And so if you feel frustrated because your team's not working, if you feel frustrated because the people you signed have quit, maybe you feel like they're not mentally tough, that is an indication that you are cut out for this business. And like Nicole said, you just have to find your 4 aces. But I need you to realize that like you have to be strong enough to be the dealer to be able to handle a good set of cards. Okay, one of the prayers that I pray to myself every single morning is, Lord, do not bless me beyond what my character can sustain me. I'm going to repeat that. Lord, don't bless me beyond what my character can sustain me. Because it's one thing to go ambassador, it's another thing to maintain ambassador. It's one thing to hit diamond, it's another thing to maintain it. And I don't want us to get so caught up in a rank, because I think people can get too caught up and they start defining themselves by a rank. They start defining themselves by a rank, but you're so much more than a rank. The rank is an indication that you're headed in the right direction. That's all it is. It's the thermometer for your business. Okay, but it's not who you are. And I don't want to get like too preachy on you guys. You think I'm like some like cult leader or something like that. But like, I do want you to understand that your identity should never be tied up in like this business to where you care more about what your rank says than the fact that you are a child of God. Like, your identity is in whose you are, aka you're a child of Jesus, and not who you are as a triple diamond, right? And I think for me, when I tell my team, especially like my leaders, like my triples and stuff, like I don't care what E-Suite says. I do not care, because in my head, they're all ambassador diamonds. I'm just waiting for E-Suite to catch up. And I want you guys all to view your business like that. Is you are all already diamonds. Like if you do the work, like stop being so results oriented. Stop focusing on just the results, because here's the thing, you'll never be happy. I'm going to give you hint that I've learned. If you stay so focused, and I'm saying results matter, you guys. We're in a results-based business. I get that. Okay. I'm not saying results don't matter, but stop caring only about the results, because here's what happens is if I say to myself, I'm going triple diamond, I go triple diamond. Great. That feeling lasts 5 minutes before my personality type is going to say, let's go press. So if I am so results focused, the only thing that's going to happen is I'm only going to be happy for that 5 minutes. And then every second of every other day, I'm going to be like, I'm not enough until I'm press. I'm not enough until I'm press. I'm not enough until I'm press. And then I'm going to hit press. 5 minutes. Woo! Great job. Ambassador. I'm not enough until I hit ambassador. But when you have joy in the process, and I know that word is so annoying, and it's like, but I'm not green, and so process, actually, like, I need to find another word for it. But like, anytime your system is up and running, anytime at noon you've done your shit for the day, you posted, you messaged, you follow up, you added to your story, you've done that, you've checked in with your team, you've done all these things, you've had great conversations, you've helped somebody grow, you share your self-development with other people. You can be happy when your system's up and running if you are process oriented, if you are focused on those things. Because guess what? Results don't just happen just because you say you want the results, right? Guess what? People who run in the Olympics, what do they all want? A gold medal. But we're so focused on, like, let's be great at setting goals. Let's be so great at setting goals. Well, don't you think every single person who wanted to run the 100-meter dash wanted to win, and their goal was to win, and they trained every single day like it was to win? Yeah. So just because you have the right goals doesn't mean anything, because winners and losers have the same goals. Okay? But what it does mean is that you have to find what process you can be happy in saying, my system is up and running and I'm happy. In this business, it's very hard to do that because we play the comparison game, because we're on social media and we say, oh gosh, and you say, dang, I signed an LC for 200 BB, and then so-and-so posted in the group chat about how they signed 600 BB, and you're like, crap. But that's not your system. That's not your system. Because my system is not Aaron's system. My system is not Nicole's system. And so you're robbing yourself of happiness if you just depend on the results. You have to depend on the process. You have to find what works for you, what grind works for you. And I think that this kind of goes counterintuitive to what we've always been taught. Because guess what? We're always like, results, 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 results. And guess what? We're teaching our team, and why we see so many of them quit is because when we say results, 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 and they don't get the results, they can't find the joy in the process because those results aren't there yet. But if we start saying, somebody comes to me and they're like, dang, girl, I sent out 100 messages and I didn't sign any LCs. Instead of me saying, dang, well, it'll come, I'm going to say, bro, did you just hear what you said? You freaking sent out 100 messages. Can we just take a shot for that? Like we have to start celebrating the process, okay? Because we know that the system works. We know the system works. I know if I do my crap, I will get results 100% of the time. The problem is we don't do the system. We don't enjoy the process because we get so caught up in the results that we get blindsided, and we start complaining about the results that we aren't getting from the work that we're not doing. That's it. And you want to know something? And this is just me being totally transparent. When we've been brought out this whole new wave of products, you know what Kelsey's been focused on? Oh God, do I have the right posts for these new products? Have I updated my team page with these new products? Oh God, have I done all of this? And what haven't I been doing? Messaging. What haven't I been doing? My system. And guess what? My results haven't been there. My results haven't been there. And do you want to know what I started to do? Blame it on the system and say the system's broken. But I'm going to tell you, when I got right back to doing what I did, the results started coming again. And I feel like I'm just saying that to be totally transparent, so you guys know that, like, it doesn't, like, this battle in your head of, like, I want it now. It doesn't really stop. Like, it's just something you have to train your brain for. And you just have to kind of catch yourself whenever you start falling back into that trap. Because we just see so many people have success, and we say, oh my God, they went diamond in 4 months. But, like, you guys, 4 months is a long time. 4 months is a long time. Like, if like, when you're in it, I'm not saying, like, when you take a step back, it's not like when you're on the other side of it, it seems like really quick. But, like, it's a long time. I sat at people will be like, oh, like, I sat at Triple for 18 months, you guys. And people are like, oh, 18 months, it's fine. Well, it's fine because I'm an ambassador now. When I was in the middle of 18 months, you guys, I could have had 2 more kids. That's a lot of time. But it's just fine because I'm an ambassador now. And that's why it doesn't feel as bad. But when you're in it, it feels bad because you feel stuck. But until I got to the point where I stopped being unhappy until the results came and started being happy because the system was running, the system that I knew would bring the results, I was good. I was good. And that's where this business can mess you up. And that's why we say it's on a 3-month thing. You know, your results are going to come. The results you're getting today are coming from the work you put in 3 months ago. We all know that, right? But like the results that you're not getting are from the process that you're not doing. So I don't even know, like, I just went all over the board. Hopefully you're not too dizzy from my brain.
That's exactly, it was great. I took a lot of notes. I think I needed to hear that, so I'm assuming everyone else needed to hear that too. I think I know. I mean, me and you are so like, I know I'm totally stuck on results. I'm like, what do you mean? You're a diamond and you haven't enrolled this much? And like, I get frustrated. So that was like definitely my aha moment of this whole thing. But
yeah. And if you want a really good book on that, the book that I read that really helped me understand that is Atomic Habits. It's a really good book, especially if you are blue. If you have any blue in you, get that book, because I am dominant red, but secondary blue. And so for me, the blue part of me does not want a structure. I do not want a process or a system. Like, that part of me feels like I'm trapped in like a warehouse. Okay. That's what I feel like. But the way he frames it is he starts talking about like, when you have a system, you actually have more freedom, because your time is not so busy worrying about what you're doing, because you already know what you're doing. You're just doing it, right? Because if you're blue at all, you know the feeling of, shit, what am I going to do today? And it feels kind of good at first, but then you realize, holy crap, like I just spent 3 hours deciding what I'm going to do, when all the stuff that I actually need to do take an hour. And so that is a really good book. So it allowed me to see how the systems produce the freedom that I crave so much. And so I want you guys to, like, if you have that blue in you, to go check out that book, because I think it will help reprocess some of the things that we believed in our life about that part of it.
I want to ask you one more thing before we let you go back to date night. Thank you again for getting on. Do you like, I really struggle with reading. I always have, but do you think like actually reading a book is like so much better than Audible?
So, here's what I do is I Audible, and then if I really like the content, I buy the book, and then I follow along. So I have this thing, and I can send it to you. I've been using it. You know how we have like so many resources, so many times that we forget about like some of them, and because we're always trying to come up with new stuff, and then we forget about the cool resources that we have. So a while ago, probably like 6 months ago, I came out with this personal growth plan and then a business growth plan, because I think they're two separate things. Like, you kind of have to have both. Obviously, your personal growth is going to affect your business, but they need to be two separate things. And so I have a list of things, like it's listen to a podcast, read 2 chapters of a book, or listen to an Audible for 25 minutes, and do a devotional, and be in my Bible, or listen to a training. So those are 4 things, and my goal is to do 2 of those a day. Okay, so like if I feel like reading, then my reading is 2 chapters, or else I'll fall asleep. Like, but I have to have a goal instead of just saying like, oh, I'm gonna read a book, like, because I'm like all or nothing. So like, even when I'm reading a book, like I want to read the whole thing right then, and I just want to get finished, right? But instead of just saying like, okay, I'm gonna read 2 books, I'm gonna read 2 chapters, then it keeps me excited about reading it again. Because what happens is I get so addicted that I read until I'm bored, and then I'm bored with that book and I pick up a new one. And so I do 2 chapters at a time, because then it makes me excited to read next tomorrow. So I do read like Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I listen to the Audible, and then I like probably an hour into it, I was like, this is good crap. So I bought the book, and then I started reading as the Audible was playing. I know not everybody has that luxury to like have the time to sit there and do it. But I do know that like I physically retain the information better when I am actually reading. But I also like to be read to. So like
I love that. Like, I don't know why I never thought to like like I really struggle with reading. Like, to read 1 chapter would probably take me like an hour. So I didn't even think of that. Like, to read it, for them to read it and me to read it.
Yeah, and then like you're not only hearing it, you're seeing it, and then you can kind of underline and write in the notes and circle, and then you can go back and reference it. And that's my favorite part, is like I can open up and like if I just like if I know my money mindset is struggling, like, and I'm kind of in that falling into a scarcity mindset, maybe my check's going down or whatever that case is, I can open up Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, read a couple of the points that I've highlighted. It will take me 5 minutes. And then like, I know that part hit me. But like, I also thought it was very interesting because I read that book again. And I highlighted like probably 30% of what I highlighted was new. Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
Like, it wasn't stuff that I needed before, but when I read it, and Cammie said this to me a long time ago about events, because I was like, well, I've already been to like try it or whatever, and I was like, why do I need to go again? And she was like, well, the person that you were when you went before is different than the person you are now. And so it's the same thing. Why do we go to conference? Why do we get to events? Because the person that we are now is going to need something different. Even if it's the same exact presentation, you're going to hear it totally different because your brain is in a totally different spot. I love Ed Milet, and I just listened to a podcast, and he was actually talking about relationships, but it applies so much to business. He was talking about how, like, do you think that there's only one person out there for you? And his answer was like, no, but you can be with one person for the rest of your life, because you can be in multiple relationships with the same person because your guys are always growing. So the relationship, even for me, the relationship I have now with my husband, now that we have 2 kids, is totally different. It's a totally different dynamic. Like, we're 2 totally different people. So our relationship is brand new. And I thought that was so cool, like, to think about it like that is like, dang, like, the relationship we have with ourselves, even the relationship we have with our business, is constantly changing. And so to say that we get bored is honestly just somebody else's idea that we adopted that has no place in our heads. Like, I know I've tried to adopt that before, and it didn't even work. Like, it was me being lazy and saying I was bored.
Boom.
So anyways, yeah, sorry, I know that was another
No, that was freaking awesome. This was great. I needed this. We all need this, but I really need this.
Well, thank you so much for asking me. Do you mind if I pray for you guys? Close out?
Sure.
Dear Lord, I just want to say thank you so much for Nicole. Thank you for her leadership. Thank you for her boldness to get on, even though she doesn't feel well. We ask that you just heal her and help her feel better. But also know that this sickness could be a sign that maybe she just needs to rest. Maybe she needs to take the time and just rest mentally, physically, emotionally, and whatever it is that she can do in this time. Let that just open her eyes to whatever lesson it is you could be trying to teach her. I pray over every single person on this Zoom that's listening. I pray that you protect them, just protect their health, but also protect their business. And we ask you for increase, Lord. We ask you to increase our territory of the business that we're working, and just so that we can do everything in a way that would be pleasing to you. We know that without you, none of this would be possible. And just ask that all of the conversations we have, all of the business that we do, everything would be pleasing to you. And that you would just protect us and just enlarge our territory and increase in our paychecks, increase in our influence, and increase just in our faith as well. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, my dear.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to see you soon.
Couple months. Yeah, couple months. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Tell him he's great for sharing you with us, and we love him.
I will. Bye, guys.
Right. Bye, guys.